Well, thanks for having me. And that's a really great question, and I appreciate the compliments. Yeah, 8 million views. I think we have 25,000 subscribers, and our member site now, God, we've had thousands of people go through the member site. And a large majority of them are either already in Thailand or they're thinking about coming and are preparing to do so. So, yeah, it's been an incredible journey. And, yeah, where are we headed in the future? Well, it's interesting because when I first started this whole project, I realized that there had been an agreement between people and the government. And I'll mention and speak from an American point of view, but many people have told me that it applies to themselves and from the country that they come from. And that is the agreement when I grew up was that when we got to be retirement age, and it was the golden age, and back then I thought those people are really old. But now that I don't see myself as being old, but I've hit that age where I'm entitled, supposedly, to a retirement income. And I say entitled because, you know, we pay in over the years, and supposedly we're supposed to get back enough money to help supplement a retirement. And I know that it's not supposed to take care of you in full, but it's sort of a given that it's going to be a large percentage of what you're going to live off of when you hit retirement age. And so most people went through their lives that are my age and worked and put income or put payments into the Social Security system. And then I guess, I don't know what it was in the 70s or 80s, I guess 80s, they went to this whole thing that you could self-direct your retirement funds and give you tax breaks and things like that. And when I heard that, making money on online investing and, you know, day trading, things like that, people were losing money. And so when I said, well, people are going to end up at a retirement age and not have those resources because they've lost them in some kind of market. And when I say investments, it can be real estate because, you know, there was a real estate bubble and people had invested in real estate and then all of a sudden lost all their money. Like I said about the stock market or investment accounts, those took a dive. You know, we get these corrections every so often. And if you're relying on your Social Security or your retirement life on those, people have taken some hits. And that's what I started this whole channel about. And I just looked at it because I went back home and my sister was in a situation where she was facing some challenges financially and had to make some decisions. And I'd already been living over in Thailand over 10 years full-time. And every time I went back, prior to when I went back to get my stuff from my sister's house because I had stored some there, nobody even cared about where I lived. But then when I went back 7, 8 years ago, people were really hurting. Things were really bad. And they were asking me, they're baby boomers, they're going to hit retirement. And so I looked at this and said that, you know, how are you going to get by on your retirement? And they weren't sure. And I said, well, maybe you ought to think about living in some place like Southeast Asia or Thailand, places like that. And they go, well, what's life like in Taiwan? I said, it's not Taiwan, it's Thailand. And they didn't have a clue. Back then, nobody traveled to this part of the world, and especially to live full-time. And so I started to tell them about how much I paid for meals and how much my rent was and what I pay for transportation and things like that. And it piqued their interest. They started to think, well, you know, tell me more about that. And so I ended up back home in Thailand, and I started thinking about this. And at the time, I wanted to do something. I've always said, you know, you need to do something to keep yourself occupied. And I was looking for something to do. And I said, well, I'm just going to make some videos, throw them up on YouTube, and see what happens, and see if anybody's interested in watching them. I actually had an Excel spreadsheet. And starting from day one, I said, okay, let's see how many views, and I'll watch it, graph it out, and see what happens over a year. And I'll try and put up maybe 100 videos and see what happens and see if anybody's interested in watching. Well, I watched the numbers increase exponentially. And I said, well, somebody's interested in this information of what it's like over here. So I continued to do the videos. And the questions started pouring in. And that's when I realized, wow, people are really interested in this information. They want to know more. And I couldn't give out the necessary information on YouTube for a number of reasons. One is it's just too detailed and dry, a lot of it, for a YouTube video. Now, I know some people will disagree with that and they'll put out videos, and that's cool. But for me, my job, I feel, is always to not only educate people, but also to entertain them. And so when it gets into that dry, detailed information, it's really not, for me, conducive to putting it on my YouTube channel. So, but I wanted to answer the questions. It's really important for me to help people. It's the number one thing in my life, is to try and feel that I'm contributing in some way. And so I started to put this information out individually. People would email me and say, can you tell me about the visa options? And I'm confused about this. And they were looking at it on the web, and there was just so much information that was not only incomplete, but contradictory to each other. And so, and including the thing, I said, well, if you have between $500 and $750 US a month to retire on, you're going to be living under an overpass in America, in a cardboard box, eating cat food. And I said, it doesn't have to be that way. And over the years, it's funny because people got confused by that and said, well, you're not going to have a good life, a fulfilled life in Thailand on, $500 to $750 US dollars a month. It's going to be meager. You're not going to be happy. And that isn't the point. The point is contrast. What's your life going to be like in America for that money? It's non-existent. You're a vagrant. And so I'm just trying to say, okay, if you have that money and you have, now everything about what I talk about, especially on YouTube and stuff, presupposes that you have enough resources that you've accumulated over the years to fulfill the retirement requirements to live in some place like Thailand. Now, there's more options. There's Vietnam and Cambodia and things like that. But we'll focus for this conversation, because you asked about Thailand and what I'm doing in the future with that. And so that they have to be able to sell off a boat and a car and maybe furniture and collections. A lot of people have collections they don't want to let go of. Let them go. When was the last time you looked at your collection? It's just stuff taking up room, not only in your house, but in your mind and in your body as well, because it takes energy to hold on to all the stuff. So anyway, if they can sell off all that stuff and have even half or all of the requirements, which is the equivalent of 800,000 Thai baht, to take care of the fulfillment for the retirement visa, then that's out of the way, and that has to be done if you're going to stay long term. And if you got married to a Thai person, it's actually half that much money, so they're always an option, right? And so they needed to take care of that. But then, if you only have a certain amount of money, say $500, $750 a month to live off of, and you'd be living in a box under an overpass. We just had a member, I just put up a video on YouTube not long ago about a member. He's paying less than $100 a month for a one-bedroom apartment with a kitchen and everything. And it's out, not in a tourist area, it's outside of the city of Cha'am. And it's like 15 minutes to get to the beach. But it's great. It's a simple place. It's got air conditioning, Wi-Fi, and everything. So I'm not telling people to come live off $500 a month. If you have more, spend it. Have a nice life. But your money will go a lot further. What I always say, more life for less money in Thailand or Vietnam or Cambodia. So anyway, back to what I was talking about, was that I started to put out this information to give people options and what their future looked like in retirement, and sharing with them my life and what my costs were and everything like that. And over the years, there's been a plethora of YouTubers that are also doing that information and talking about how cheap they're living, where they're living, what they're eating, and all that stuff. And so that, to me, that market became saturated. And it's sort of a given. Now, YouTube was always the funnel to bring people into my membership site, because I had to put all this information in one place, because there was no way that I was going to be able to answer everybody's questions individually. They were pouring in faster than I could answer them, and then I was giving short answers to questions that needed longer details. So I said, okay, all this information needs to be in one place. So that's why the membership site got created. And I wanted to have it as a place where all the resources were available to be able to live in Thailand. And I needed to cover all the things that people were asking about. So somebody asked a question, I said, well, that's a great question. Let me answer it, and I'll answer it in the membership site. And so then I would do that so everybody could see the answer throughout time, and then update those as things change. And so that's what I continue to do. And then I wanted people to interact, and because what happened, and I didn't expect this, was what became a big part of the membership site was the community. It's daunting to move to another country with a different culture and everything like that. You're going to feel alone. You're going to feel isolated, especially with a different language. But what's happened over the time is that people have developed relationships through our forum, through our live chat, and things like that. And then they already have a support group of like-minded people, things in common, situations in common, and they support each other, and then they're sort of waiting for each other and supporting them and encouraging them throughout their journey, which I thought, wow, this is really cool. It's something I didn't expect to happen, but it was definitely of value to not only a member site, but to the members themselves to be able to have that support group. Now, of course, we've got a couple member meetings that go on in a couple places in Thailand as well. That's how all this got created. And to this day, I mean, it's just amazing. The members, what a great community. Oh my God, I can't. We're a family. And a lot of the membership dues goes towards helping our charitable endeavors as well, supporting orphanage in Chiang Mai and stuff like that. So not only are they helping themselves, but they're helping us to do all this, keep all this infrastructure going, and help the kids in the orphanage. And we're looking at an orphanage where we're going to be able to sponsor individual children as well. So that's how we got to the point we are now. Where are we going from here into the future? Well, again, to me, there was that agreement we had with the government that's sort of been broken. They want to keep you home. They want to keep you within the system. And they're not going to give you a lot of resources to be able to go live someplace else, even though the medical and everything else is so much cheaper in another country. You'd think like Social Security or Medicare in America would encourage you to go get your treatment in a country where it's going to be cheaper, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So the medical issues came up, and now I've got a free publication that I'm going to be giving out shortly. I don't know if there'll be a link that I'll be able to pass on to you. You'll be able to give to other people. Maybe I'll edit out some of this, put it on YouTube, and then put a link to it. But anyway, the publication is the 7 most stressful concerns of pre-retirees. And that's what was passed on to me. And then I changed it and said, and how moving to Thailand eliminates those. And it really became the financial focus of all the issues that people are facing going into retirement financially. And there's seven major ones that can devastate people. And so they're not a concern for me and for other members that have moved over and are living in Thailand. Now, having said all that, over the years, especially in the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, me looking from the outside at Western countries, including America, especially America, our society has changed. And I won't go into why it's changed. If you stand back far enough, you can see a bigger picture or a pattern as to how these changes were precipitated and encouraged, and they're encouraged to this day. And that is the homogeny of societies. Men aren't encouraged to be men. Women aren't encouraged to be women. You're not encouraged to be nice. You're encouraged to have everything your way. And if somebody disagrees, then they're your enemy. I mean, it's just gone crazy. And so when you're young, maybe you can play in that arena and you find some fulfillment in it. But as you get older, I've always said, and this is why I have what I call no-fly zones. It's not like places you shouldn't go to, or I just feel they're not conducive to a great retirement. And that's for a number of reasons. because I don't want somebody that's older to have to be looking over their shoulder, and where statistically they're going to have more challenges financially, emotionally, physically, anything like that. And what I see, a retirement back home, if you say, can a retirement on a low budget be fulfilling back home? It's a great question, and I'm sure there's some people that can pull that off. But for me, I say, well, why would you want to? Now, I encourage everybody, and it doesn't matter if they're American or European or whatever, even if you come live in a country like Thailand or another Southeast Asian country, try and help change the system from where you're living, even if you don't want to participate in it. Try and encourage the change back home in your country any way you can. Be involved, so that, you know, it hurts me that people have to come to Thailand to get what I think are benefits here. And it's just not the financial benefits now. The intangible benefits, to me, way heavier than the financial ones. That you can, men can be men, women can be women. You know, it's not bad to show, you know, what do we call it when we open door chivalry and stuff, and pull a chair out for somebody. And women are encouraged to be feminine and help the man that are supporting. It's just a different dynamic. And it reminds me a lot of how life was when I was growing up, and you looked at the family unit and everything, and that's the way it is here. I see people every day that I don't know, never met before, and I strike up conversations, and they smile and they say things to me. You can't talk to strangers back home, especially if they're younger than you. Then you're, you know, considered a stalker or something. You know, it's just out of control. I encourage people to look, and it doesn't have to be Thailand, but look at any place that you can go where you can be fulfilled in your older age and have a great retirement. I just happen to help people to do it in Thailand. And so now there's so many people encouraging others to move to someplace like Thailand that I've sort of switched, and now my goal is not to get people here, because I see people here, and I have members that show me experiences of people that are non-members that have come over, stayed for a while, and left. And then I ask myself the question, why did that happen? And most of it is because they weren't prepared. And so my job now isn't to get people to come over or encourage people to come over here. It's, if you choose to come to Thailand, what resources can I give you? And most of it is knowledge about what to expect, how you might have to change your beliefs or values to fit in, and what you need to do and think about to be happy and fulfilled in this environment. So that, to me, now is my goal and my focus. And so I'm not, you know, people say, well, why don't you say how much this is and go to these other cities and everything. I went to so many cities that it was basically, I got bored with it, because people on YouTube would even say, well, you're showing another market. You know, what's it? The food's the same? Yeah, the food's the same. The cost of the rooms were the same. Renting a motorbike was the same. It was all the same. So if people want to continue to do that, that's great. But for me, it's like, okay, let's get into the psychology of relationships here. How are you going to be fulfilled? What can you expect in a relationship with a Thai person? That's more important to me. If you feel irritated inside because there's going to be challenges, there's no doubt there's going to be challenges. There's a different culture, different language. How are you going to deal with those? What tips can I give that are going to allow people to stay in their comfort zone or create a different comfort zone in their life in Thailand? And that might be in cities, outside of cities, in someplace in Isan. They might choose to be in a relationship or choose just to date, or any way I can help them to deal with that part of it is now my focus and my goal, which is what I do on YouTube now. And the member site is that's completely what the member site's about, is giving people details about visas and relationships, and if you want to do business or not do business, and all the different details and specific information where people ask specific questions for their situation. And what I try and do is now lead them down relevant paths. And so I'm always trying to make the website and for our members who help support all this, and the kids in Chiang Mai and everything, to give them the most relevant information for where they are in their journey. And I'm always working on that, and even to this day, I'm trying to make it easier for members to step in and say, okay, here's where I'm at in my journey. I'm either deciding, planning to come over and retire in Thailand. I'm preparing. I've made the decision. I've made the plan. Now I got to get my ducks in a row. Or I'm already in Thailand, I'm settling in, and I need information about my driver's license and utilities, and how do I get my visa renewed, and my extension. Should I go to get married? Am I going to get married? What should I see? All this. And so I want them to be able to step in no matter where they're at, and I help to do this in the membership site and lead them down their path with the most relevant information, and try and keep in touch with them. And I'm creating all new ways to do that all the time. In fact, I do a weekly update of information that's been in the news, things that have been happening that I witnessed that I think people should know about, the changes that are happening in Thailand, what to pay attention to or worry about, what not to, what to just to blow off, all that information. And then show them my life over here and have them to be part of my life and me to be part of their family. And so that's what I'm always trying to do. Now, we had a website up that was called mapsandmore.com. I took it down, and I'm going to release it real soon again, open it back up, and that's going to be resources resources for expats living over in Southeast Asian countries. And I want everybody, I'm making it really easy for people to use mobile devices. And if somebody's over here either vacationing, traveling, they've moved over, or they're touring around and they find something, I want them to share what they like and what they don't like with the world, with the other expat community that's over here, so we can help each other. Because the more we can help each other, the easier this becomes. Now, when I first came over, it was a leap to get to a life here and be comfortable. Now, because of resources like the member site and all the YouTube videos and everything, now it's just a baby step. It's really easy, and that's because of all the great YouTubers and everybody that's putting out information. But I wanted to, make this Maps and More, and I might change the name of it so it's more reflective of the expat community, which is who I want to focus on, to give them resources of places to stay, places to eat, places to get their laundry done, and encourage the small business in Thailand, because the small business has no way to market in Thailand except by word of mouth. Now, Facebook has changed that a little bit, but really, we need to help them to stay in business, because you'll find a great massage lady, oh, she's the best, and you go back a week later and she's gone because she had no business. Same with little food carts, or a restaurant, or someplace you get your hair cut or whatever. And we need to keep them in business, so I want to create this resource to, you can, right when you're there, you can take a picture and put the information, the address, put it on the map, what you liked about it, and then encourage people to come use that service. And so that's in the works. We're trying to do that. I'm trying to make the member site better, to create these paths and make it easier for them to find exactly the information they need, and for me to be able to keep in touch more. In the member site, I mentioned this, I started to say about our weekly update I do every week, a video update. And what I want to do is, when I'm back home and I'm near my router where I got a really good internet connection, what I want to do is do live weekly updates, and that is, do an opening and then have a scene of Thailand somewhere running where they can see what's going on in some place in Thailand. But I want to be on a webinar where we have real-time interaction with the members, and that is, it'll allow them to ask questions in real time. I might be able to come up with a perk. Maybe it's an interview or something, and choose somebody that's on the webinar or the weekly update. They're live, and say, okay, you get a free hour on the phone or a half hour, and give away perks and answer questions in real time and everything, and do that every week live if possible. And because, again, my goal is always to give people the most relevant information, up-to-date information, and do it as easily as possible. So that's what the plan is. I've thought about stopping all this before. I don't know what I would do if I did. I actually do have some other projects that I'd like to work on, But for right now, this is what I'm doing and where I'm at and what the plans are. Now, those are subject to change as time goes on. But right now, hey, it's working, and we're helping a lot of people. I can't tell you how many times Nat and I travel around Thailand and people recognize us from the videos and say, you know, thanks so much for the help that you've provided and the information, because now, and they share their life with me, and it's very fulfilling. And so that's what sort of fuels this whole thing. As long as I can help people, I feel really good about continuing what we're doing and always trying to improve it. So that was a real long-winded answer to your question, but it really, I wanted to get a clear picture of where we started, where we are, and where we want to go. So thanks for asking, and if your viewers or anything, you want any more information, you'll be able to pass it on to them, and people know how to get in touch with me if they're watching this either through your channel or through my YouTube channel, which I'll probably cut and put it in as well. Then they know how to get in touch with me, and hopefully I'll be able to help them in their journey as well. So if I answered your question, that's great. If you have any more questions, that's great too. But I always tell people, remember what? You probably even know this. There's always an option. And so I'm always looking for options to create more value for everybody and make their journey easier. And hopefully that's what I do and what I'll continue to do. So, hey, JC here. My YouTube channel, retirecheapjc, is about helping retirees get from where they are now to where they want to be, which is usually a retirement in some place like Thailand. These days, there's a lot of reasons why you'd want to move from your home country to some other place. And we won't go into all those, but one of the biggest ones are financial concerns. I put together a document for you all. There's a link here and a link down here that you can download for free. And it's called The 7 Most Stressful Financial Concerns of Pre-Retirees and Retirees, and how moving to someplace like Thailand eliminates them. Most retirees are now worried about running out of money, or the increasing cost of health care, inflation, or just leaving their loved ones financial burdens when they pass. Well, all those are discussed in the document. Go ahead and download it. And then I'm going to touch base with you and talk to you about each one of these and why I think moving to Thailand eliminates those concerns altogether. So check it out, and I'll be in touch with you soon. JC out. Hey, JC here. If you like that video, make sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel here. Also, we have another video up here you're going to be really interested in watching as well. And if you're looking for all the details of how to retire in Thailand in one place, plus a group of people to support you, check this out over here. Give it a click.